Today I'd like to talk about UV maps again. Wednesday I will not lecture. I want to make sure that you have adequate time to work on your final project. There will probably be one or two more lectures in the 2 weeks that we have after Thanksgiving, because we only have 2 weeks left in the semester after Thanksgiving, including this week. Therefore, we have 3. Let me switch to modeler. Let's go back up. So, again, another approach to UV maps. I showed you last Wednesday the serial box approach with Atlas and how to apply a UV map. This time I'm going to apply or create a UV map and apply a texture to a head. And they already have one in here. I believe it's called Terran head. So I'm going to go ahead and load an object and I'll show you where it's at. And you should be able to find it in here too. Let me go to hard drive, applications, scroll down to New Tech or Lightwave or whatever. There we go, Lightwave 8. Content, classic content, objects, and this is where I forget. It's not under characters. Let's try human for a second. Maybe it's, no, it could be under blotchy, whatever the heck that means. And it could be Terran head, Tazo. Oh, Tazo is a good one too on another day. I can never remember how they categorize this stuff. Many things. Miscellaneous. Where are you, Terran head? Structures, textures, tutorial, that could be. Gradient head. Could use gradient head, that's not Terran head, but that would work. Let me see what gradient head looks like. But that's, you know, Lightwave object. Let me open it up. It'll work. It'll work just fine. Okay. Okay. So here is our head. And we want to be able to, in a 2D program, paint a surface onto this. Now, obviously, to wrap the surface on there is pretty difficult. It's delicate based on what you've experienced so far, particularly using projection maps. In this case, we're going to use a UV map, and we're going to approach it similarly to, in a similar fashion to what we had done the other day. Let's switch down to the bottom and select T for texture. We have weight, texture, morph, color, and shoot, I can't remember, sets. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new one. And we want the texture name to be, I'll just call it Terran head, even though I don't know that it is. And map type, I want to be cylindrical, because this is create UV texture map. Why do I want it cylindrical? It's a pretty good guess. You can try the others, but what I'm doing is I'm imagining the head sort of like a cylinder, and what it's going to do is it's going to take the skin off of it and stretch it out as if it were that way. And if you recall when I was talking last week, think about the globe. Okay, that would be spherical, but look at the different maps that are available of the world. And when they're stretched out 2D, they look, the continents and nations look somewhat distorted, don't they? Well, that's what this is going to look like. It's going to look pretty bizarre. But if you, like with the maps, if you paint within those distorted regions, when it's mapped back onto the globe, it fits perfectly. And that's exactly what works here. So I'll use cylindrical, and then you have to specify the axis. Now, because the axis is Y up, we're going to leave it at Y, because it will wrap it around that axis. If you had it tilted on another axis, just make sure that you pick that one. In the settings, we're going to use automatic, and I click OK. It's created a new map. What does that new map look like? We're going to switch from top to UV, and this is what it looks like. See how distorted it looks to fit it in that rectangular or square format? Okay, looks pretty distorted, doesn't it? But that's what we're going to use as a basis for our 2D map that we're going to paint. And trust me, the map that I'm going to paint for demonstration purposes is going to look horrible. But you will get a good idea of how this thing works. Okay, that if you wanted to paint really carefully and do a really exquisite job, then it would look really, really good. But for the time that we have in here, I'm just going to do it roughly so you can see how it does work. Okay, so this is the difficult part, or the awkward part, I should say. It's not so simple that we can just simply export this now to be able to paint on it. We have to use this UV texture view as a template in our 2D program. Does that make sense? We're using it as a guide to paint on, to draw on, to do whatever we're going to do on it. So to do that, I'm going to go ahead and hit the 0 key so I just look at this view. And then I'm going to hit the tab, or the A key, so that it fits as large as I can. Now, unfortunately, what I have to do is I have to create a screenshot of this. Okay? Now, on the Macintosh, I mean, there are keystroke equivalents, but on the Mac, there is a program that comes with it in Utilities if you want to. So you don't have to do a whole screenshot. I just want to do a shot of the head. And what it is called, if I can remember myself, which I can't, what is it called? It'll be in here somewhere. Better be in here somewhere. This utility, come on. It's called Grab. There it is, right here. Well, what I have on my own personal computer is I just take it and I bring that icon down here so that I have it when I need it from time to time. And I'll click Grab, and when it's launched, I'm in Grab. I can capture selection window screened, and it can be a timed screened too if you want. If you wanted, you know, if you were doing something and you want, you see the, I guess we didn't see some of the little video tutorials. If you wanted someone to see what you've done over time, you could do that. You know, it can't capture a lot, but you know, in 5-minute, maybe 10-minute increments. The selection, and I just want to make sure that I grab this area here, like so. Okay, now this is captured, and I can save it to my image folder. File, save as, and we'll call it Terran template. And I don't want to save it in documents. I want to save it in my root folder so that I do have it. So the desktop, content, images, and we'll call it Terran template. Save. Okay? So now I can close this. I don't need it. I'm going to leave this alone for the time being. Open it. You can use whatever 2D program you want. It doesn't matter. Painter, Photoshop, Fireworks. It doesn't matter. So now we'll go File, Open. And I'm going to go back to, there's Terran template right here, and it's a TIFF file. And that's okay. I'm going to make sure that it's an RGB. Now, to make this work as a map, you'll notice the grid here. that is a square format, and actually part of the Terran head extends beyond that. We don't need any parts that extend beyond it. It won't map correctly. Why it does it this way, I don't know. So I'm going to start by using the crop tool and making sure that I only have selected, or that I only make a part of my map that which is contained within the grid. Does that make sense? Okay, so hit return, and this is what I'm going to use for my map. Now, I don't want to paint on this because this is my template, so I should just go ahead and lock it and create a new layer on top of it, or new layers, as the case may be. Okay. So now what we can do is we can come back, and this is what I said, I'm just going to do this very crudely. I'm going to start to paint on here a little bit bigger, I suppose. There we go. So let's paint some eyebrows on them now. So he's going to look sort of like a clown in a way. Actually going down into his lid area a little bit. Maybe give him a mustache. Maybe a little Hitler kind of mustache. Let's maybe paint some lips onto the guy. Make him look even more weird. And this is the hard part, is you have to zoom in here and try to glean from here where the mouth is. You know, if you've created it, then it's probably going to be easier. Maybe pick a smaller. Let's go ahead and paint in here. And I'm going to try to be somewhat accurate in here. I may not be going far enough. It could all the way go to here. So I'm going to test it and see. And you can always come back to your 2D program and you can edit. So you get the idea. Let's also maybe make him look a little bit like an alien. So I'm going to go ahead and paint some spots along the front and the back of his head. Let's go ahead and create, let's go back to black again, or something dark. And maybe purple, why not? Let's go purple. Purple spots, okay. A little bit bigger brush, just to cover some area quicker. Like so, like so, and like so. Come back here. Hopefully these guys are going to match up nicely without too much of a seam. And we come back here like so. And along the back of his neck. So you get the idea, okay? Now I can go ahead and add another layer in here because I don't want to map this grid on here. So I can select all, and I can pick another color, and let's give him sort of a greenish background tint, okay? Doesn't look terribly appealing, does it? I mean, it wouldn't, for a number of reasons. But if you'd wonder, you know, how would it map on here? Because it's square and it doesn't even seem to match the head itself. I just know that because the way this thing works, it's going to map perfectly. It's going to do a really, really good job. So now I'm ready to save for, you know, number one, I would want to save this first as a Photoshop file. So instead of TIFF, I'm going to save it as Photoshop. And by saving it as a Photoshop, I have it as a Terran, is with all the layers and everything. So I can go back and edit it. Remember, if you just save it as a TGA file or a compressed file format, photo, JPEG or something, it collapses all the layers. And then it would be difficult to edit. Make sure that it's saved in my content folder. And now I can go ahead and try JPEG, because Lightwave is supposed to recognize JPEG, but I find it kind of iffy. Again, save as, and instead of Photoshop, we'll save it as a Targa file. Save that in there. So there's Terran template. 24-bit is just fine. Boom, it's collapsed. And we can hide this, and let's go back over here. Okay, so let's go back and look at everything here. And if I want, I can bring in the image and see how it matches behind here. But before I do, I'm going to go ahead and hit Q. So I create a generic template or texture for it, and we'll call it Terran. And I'll give him probably a green like I had done before. So it looks, we show the whole thing. Now I bring up the surface editor, and we look at Terran. Okay, and now I'm going to apply a texture just as I did to the box. So I click T for texture. Projection is going to be UV. Okay, so the UV map I'm going to use is Terran head, and you can have multiple maps again that you can use in different ways. Image I need to load, and I'll pull that up from my folder and content, images, Terran template, TGA. Okay, and lo and behold, look at how it matches. It looks pretty funky, but look at how it matches. It fits on there exactly the way it's supposed to. Now, if you do want to nudge this in some way, this can work sort of like a piece of latex that is stretched on top, and it is flexible to a degree. Hold on, sorry, I got a call coming in here. Hello? This is he. Uh-huh. Lauren. Yeah, okay. She should be, yeah. What time is it now? Let me call my wife, and because I'm at work, because I was thinking it was going to be later, and I can call you right back. Let's say yes. Let's just say yes, and let's go with that, because I don't think the kids have this week off, so I don't. So tomorrow at 10. Okay, so let's. Okay, so let's say today at 10:30, and I'm going to call home and let them know right now, because we're only live about 15 minutes away from you anyway, so it shouldn't be that big a deal. Thank you so much. Okay. Bye-bye. Hi, Lauren? Oh, Marie? Hello? Lauren? Is Mom there? Oh, okay. Okay, your orthodontist appointment is tomorrow at 10. Okay? Okay, bye-bye. Yeah, this is Kirk Miller calling back. It'll have to be tomorrow at 10. Tomorrow at 10 is fine. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, forgot to turn the video thing off. Oh well. I'll try to cut that out. What I was trying to say is that this can be edited a little bit. It is like a piece of latex stretched on top of the head. So what we can do is we're in point mode here, and we can, from the background here, we can look at the Terran template and see how it matches here. I can move this around a bit. And it's kind of hard to see the points, but as you can see, I can select a point here. I can select a point here, for example, maybe here, maybe here. Now I can hit T for move, and again, because this is kind of like moving the package thing around the other day, I can move this over and see how it slips around. Look over in perspective view. See how I can have it slip and slide and stretch. So if your positioning isn't perfect, you know, if you're off a little bit in your Photoshop creation, you can select the points in here and we can move them around and have it fit a little bit better. It's like pull and tuck, tuck, and make everything work just fine. Okay? So those are UV maps, and you can see that if you take the time and not do something as quickly as I did, you could create a pretty spectacular looking face. In fact, you could adapt a photograph to it quite easily, because you can use the distort tool in Photoshop and some other programs and have it stretch and contort to fit that stretched skin that you've created and modify it a little bit, paint on it a little bit, and it can look pretty believable. Okay? So those are UV maps. Next week, or the next 2 weeks, just for your information, I don't think anybody's going to want to use them, but they are helpful. We're going to cover gradient maps and color maps, and that will be pretty much it. We've already covered lighting a little bit. It'd be nice to cover that more, as well as maybe some advanced rendering techniques and stuff, but I just don't think we'll have time. I want to make sure that you guys have adequate lab time to go back in and to make sure that you tweak your final model just right. Okay. Make it really A-okay. You guys overall, though, are doing really good. I was very impressed with the toys. They came out really nice. So, really, really nice. Okay? So the remainder of today is a work day.